Hey everybody, it's SaskiaSketches, and today I'm going to be redrawing a piece that I did a year or two ago. So in September of 2018 I drew the piece on the left, which is a drawing of me and my character Nanu. He's an earth bear, he's one of the elemental animals, and I've always really liked this piece, like the feel, the tone of it, and I wanted to recapture that, and also because I just had so much fun doing the first one. I remember just really enjoying painting that, and I wanted to try that again and recapture that feeling. So I started out with a graphite sketch. In the original I actually sketched it out in ballpoint pen and then went over with fine liners, but I wanted a little bit more I don't know, options to change things because I wasn't really sure how I wanted to pose, and I'm glad that I gave myself the option to erase this time. So I sketched everything out in graphite first, and then I went over with my fine liners. I had a little bit of a dilemma trying to decide the right size of fine liner that I wanted to use, but I'm pretty sure I settled on an 02. I wanted to try an 03 and an 01, but all my 01 fine liners are kind of dead, so that wasn't really going to work out. And I guess the 03 was just a little bit too thick, so I'm really glad with this this thickness. But even though the line art isn't that visible in the end anyway, because I'm, spoiler alert, going over with a lot of layers of watercolor, and I might have even, maybe I should have gone over the line art again after I finished the piece. But yeah, I had so much fun lining Nanu because, oh my gosh, it is so much fun to figure out all those shapes and like making it look organic, I guess, and making it actually look like, hey, this bear is actually made out of stone. And I think it looks cool, and I think it's just fun to I don't know, make all those shapes, and I think it was kind of relaxing as well, because you know, you can just kind of let yourself get lost in a line art. It was fun. And once I finished the line art, I started working on the watercolor background, and I knew from the start that I wanted a wet on wet background, because in the first piece I kind of tried that, I think, but because I didn't do any line work for the background, but I didn't really use the wet on wet technique. So I really wanted to actually get that cool blurred out wet on wet background feel that I just really loved. And it's a really fun I know, it's a really fun way of using watercolors too. And here's where I was already starting to notice that this paper isn't actually watercolor paper, it's mixed media paper, and it's not the happiest if you dump on a bunch of water. Like, it's okay if you just do a couple washes and stuff, but it's not really too happy with a lot of watercolor, and that kind of bit me in the bum later on. But yeah. Anyway, from here on out I just added like some foliage and some trees and stuff, and I tried to blur them out a bit, and I just went over with a couple layers to get that background looking solid, and like there is actually things going on, and like it's layered and stuff like that. Just trying to create a good amount of depth before adding in the lighting. Speaking of lighting, here I am actually adding in the sun, and this watercolor really lifts right off the paper, so that allowed me to use that to my advantage and create like this radiance behind it. And this is where I was starting to begin laying the groundwork for the lighting. So I did a tone layer where I just covered the whole piece in yellow just to create that tone, and I should have left some of the pieces not as yellow, because I feel like it toned down some of the contrast that I was having, and that is kind of what yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with in the end, because I wasn't able to get as much contrast as I wanted. But here I am doing the flat colouring, and I'm first covering Nanu entirely in grey, which is just some watered down black. I don't think I mixed anything in there except maybe a little bit of brown or black, but not a lot. And whilst I was waiting for that to dry, I decided to mix a good shadow colour and make some more shadows and things in the foreground, just to emphasize the light source a little bit, because I really wanted that sun to like really come in strong, if that makes any sense. I wanted it to be a really strong light source. And after that I decided to give Nanu a little bit more texture, because in the original piece he didn't have that much stone texture. So I went over with the wet on wet technique and I dropped in some green and some brown, and just to make him look a little bit more earthy, a little bit more like he's actually made of stone and like he's old and stuff like that. And I think that's that really worked well, and I actually really like how Nanu turned out. And what I love about this tone layer technique is that it just pulls everything together, and like I said, it also kind of deprived the piece of contrast, but I still really like the feel that it gives. And I really want to experiment more with tone layers. I need to do more finished watercolor pieces. I haven't been doing as many. I just have been like doing sketches and maybe finishing the sketches a little bit more, but I haven't really done that many watercolor pieces. And now, like I said, I wanted to add some more contrast and I wanted to emphasize that light source more. So I did some rim lighting and I did a big shadow in the front, and that is when I was starting to work up the individual shadows and shading. And I really like how these are looking with Nanu, like the stone and stuff, how all the individual pieces are individually shaded. I think it looks really freaking cool. I actually really like how I shaded his face. I went over with a couple layers in the end. I kind of erased this, what I have now, and did a better job. But I really do enjoy that. Also the shadows get lighter as the as I don't know, there's this big shadow, right? The big one, and then as the parts get lighter, the shadows get lighter as well. I just kind of really like that. And then I shaded my avatar as well, and I had a little bit of trouble mixing the shading, and I was having a lot of trouble with the paint lifting, especially in the trousers. Everything was lifting and I wasn't really able to get more, but yeah, I stubbornly decided to go over with more shading, because why not? Because I wanted it to be better. So I went over with more brown, because I really like that in the original piece that I had like the paw pads and the nose of Nanu brown, and then the trousers and the shoes that same colours, just to pull it together a little bit more. And here is where I went over with some more shading, and it was lifting everywhere, left and right, and I was losing all the shading that I really liked, and I was kind of getting frustrated at this point, so I just let it rest for a while and went over it again after it had dried, and I think I pulled it together okay. It was the paper was really starting to give up on me, so I wanted it to be good, but I didn't want to. I knew that I couldn't really do too much to it, because it was going to like backfire at some point, and it was already starting to. So I just added some highlights with the white gel pen, just to create some more contrast, because I was really craving that contrast. I wasn't getting any, and I went over with the last layer of shading on Nanu, and I think I pulled it together again, and I really like how this is looking. So I'm glad that at least I was able to pull that together, because I was really sad when I lost that initial layer of shading, but I really like how he looks now. And that is the finished piece. Now I'm just removing the tape. I should have taped it down more because there is still paint on the side. And here is the final piece next to the original. And I've got to say, even though I didn't really enjoy the lack of contrast, I still really think that I improved in a lot of different places, like the anatomy, for example, or the composition and the actual lighting, which I really paid a lot of attention to. Yeah, so I'm actually really happy with how this piece turned out, and I could have gone over more, but I didn't want to risk it, and I think it looks good like this, so maybe I'll redraw this one again in 2 more years. And with that, we're at the end of the video, so thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more art videos every single Friday. Have a great weekend, guys, and keep on sketching. Bye!